Assalamualaikum and good evening. Today, our group will present about impact of workplace culture on employee engagement and behavior in the Selangor state-owned sand mining company. So, our group represent by Atoilah, Muhammad Hakim Zafarin, Muhammad Amirul Amri, and Wan Nur Hasdiana Sulia. So for the introduction, company culture, also known as organizational culture, is defined to set of belief, custom, value, and individual personalities that characterize how organization does business. Some culture may appreciate a casual attitude and open, easy working environment, whilst other may prefer a more traditional strict way of doing this. The term norms refer to unstated regulation or custom that are entire first adheres. It might range from the perfect honestly to flawless timeliness, or it might be something as basic as sharing meals with your friend. This is the we run things the way we see fit here mentality, and every new employee is forced to adapt whether that particular way of things suit the person is another matter. So a strong business culture leads to increased employee engagement. It relates to how people feel about their workplace culture and occupation. Employees understand what is expected of them and what they are striving for. When company's culture is strong, employees that are engaged are more likely to be pleased, motivated, and devoted to their organization. Selangor owned sand mining company Kumpulan Semesta Sendirian Berhad KSSB had been operating since 2008 and is responsible for managing the extraction, production, and sale distribution of sands, rock material, and mineral resources with the objective of promoting sustainable sand mining operation in Selangor, which has the largest sand and rock production in Malaysia. Starting on 15th September 2008, sand production and sale of 84 million MT until 31st May 2020 in the state of Selangor. Implement 279.75 kilometer long river maintenance works and inlet of air treatment plant and flood reservoir pond in Selangor through sand sales model. So organization rely on understanding what motive job engagement to encourage and support employee engagement. While job resources are widely regarded as the important predictors of work engagement, few research have examined the role of larger contextual factor evaluate at higher organization level in the prediction of work engagement. This study examined how the organization environment impact work engagement in order to improve our understanding of the larger organization element that influence job engagement. As a result, understanding how organizational culture impact employee behavior is critical to improving management and allowing an organizational culture to have the desired effect of personnel. So I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi. We see about the problem statement. We have 4 points. The first is employee that speak up help their employer organization grow better at dealing with the dangerous and opportunity when the people comfortable freely speaking their ideas, recommendation, and concern. The competitiveness of the business is reflected not only their technology, but also their corporate culture. And the second is the great organization culture may help the company expand in the healthy way while also actively mobilizing work performance and encouraging people to work more jointfully. Manufacturing efficiency may increase as a result of the transition in inclusion, the benefit of having a good company culture and evidence. Number 3 is Employee on the other's hand frequently keep a mute when it comes to their two worries and suggestion. They are basically two school of the thought of the way this issue. The first is personality viewpoint, which indicated that this employee lack of the temperament of the stand up and speak out about the growing issue because they are too introverted or timid to properly communicate their opinion to their team. The viewpoint is inspiring remedies such as employing personnel to aggressive disposition who are more like to speak through to power. Number 4 is the institutional approach. On other hand, is belief that employees do not speak up because they believe the work environment is not favorable to do so. They may be afraid of paying huge social consequences if they challenge the superior. The viewpoint leads to solution focusing on how manage may establish on the correct social norms that empower employees to express issue without fear of the backslash. Move the research contribution. Over here we have 6 points. The first is the finding of the study will encourage the organization is some sector to implement or develop company culture based on important limited or principle that we gain doing the research finding the organization for the better employee behavior and happiness. Number 2 is organization also may inch the frequently of the employee feedback on their performance. Number 3 is this study is important in that of it provide reliable and helpfully knowledge to advise firm in the research setting on employee well-being and development. Number 4, it also to allocate appropriate component of the corporate culture and employee engagement as well as to investigate how organization make sustainability contribution to the process and to develop a strong culture, successful firm really on effectiveness organization communication. Number 5 is from this research also organization that create the culture defined by meaningful work, deep employment engagement, job and organization fit, and strong leadership are outperforming pay and will likely beat the competition in attracting top talent. The lastly is the research also can provide organization a framework of recognizing the core work who are ambassador of their culture. Seeing where a bar inset is an important step to maintaining those company-wide principles. We move the research methodology. Here we have two respondents. Here we have Muhammad Maufik Amin. The age is 32 and occupation as a head of department, head of admin. And then number 2 respondent is Zaiful Azlan. He is officer IT. What we have here is research design. Over here, we have the use qualitative research method to get the appreciate finding problems such as the safety variables, uses of the and future expectation of the culture in organization of the employee. And then we have choice the method because of the research method focus on the described individual experience, which were our maintain focusing point. According a batch A, quantitative research method are designing in the manner that they help revive that behavior and perception of the target audience with a reference to the particular topic. And we move the data collection. Here we have 4. Number 1 is the major data gathering method in the study were interview and observation. Observation is a sort of the correctional research in which of the research study nature even in observing ongoing activity. One of the benefit of observation that are adaptable and it directly measure behavior rather than to report or recorded. Number 2 is research 101 of the group member used to work for this case firm and was involved in the variety and invited both in the group or individually. Observation will be fair, objective. The employee of the case firm will be watching of the three levels. The first is individual, in group, and the organization level. The observation succeed from the start and to end, and their work in the day, including the regulator lunchtime and break. Number three is the research will be record their behavior as evidence. The further study in additional, the observation also cover the symbol and ritual within the case company. The lastly is the data will be collected from the interview and observation. Some of the employee and supervisor from management level in the case company will be interviewed. The factor that influence that employee behavior in the case company will be summarized to give an answer of the research question and validity and reliability of the study and introduct suggestion for the further study. That's all. I will proceed to the others participant.
So we will continue our recording after for the next meeting.
So for the data analysis, we question employees how impossible it was that they were willing to seek out change in the environment. This is how we determine if employee had a hard time communicating out. We also ask if speaking out is required as a part of the daily work and if it encouraged, rewarded or penalized. This is how we assess the situational norm linked with their work environment using established metric. Each employee appraise their approach orientation in order to investigate how value impact the case company. The same question we handed over to the employee from two different level in the company. So we look at the first question. So the first question is is an employee afraid to express disagreement with their manager frequently? Respondent one said does not fear to express disagreement with superior, currently has good communication channel. If there is a problem, it can be brought directly to the superior and solution can be discussed. Respondent two respond that most of the administrative staff is not afraid, but not all of them. During question two is during work, is communication between subordinate and superior informal or comfortable? Respondent one, most of the time is comfortable. Respondent two, in some situation, formality is preferred, but most of the time employee feel not comfortable to communicate depending on the mode of superior. Question three, when there a disagreement and you need to present your own viewpoint, what will you do? Respondent first, if it does not interfere with my interest, it will not have too much involvement. However, depending on the particular situation, I may provide my proposal. Respondent two said finding compromise solution. Most of the time, superior refuse to take the blame. Question four, should subordinate obey manager plan accurately or interpret them freely? Respondent one, subordinate should completely and accurately obey their superior plan. Respondent two said they prefer to have freedom. Question five, do subordinates prefer to be consulted before a decision is made that affect their work or to behold what to do? Respondent one said usually important decisions are made by superior and informed directly to the subordinates. Respondent two said most decisions are made by management committee or partner conference. Question sheet, do you focus on the content of decision or the decision making process? Respondent one said whether the process or outcome are concerned about. Respondent 2 said the content of decision. Question 7, how do you deal with ambiguity and chaos? Respondent 1 said, is it intolerable? Respondent 2 said, we can tolerate a little bit of ambiguity but not chaos. Question 8, how often do you feel nervous or tense at work or job stress? Respondent 1 said, yes, especially when the quantity of work is relatively large and there is no sacrifice some personal time to work overtime. Respondent 2 said that most of the time, usually we feel nervous when fixing an organization system and unknown problem occurred. In question 9, we asked, are they motivated by the sense of achievement or employment security? Respondent 1 said that 60% of achievement and 40% of employee security. Respondent 2 said achievement. Last question, we asked to try to think those factors that would be important to them in the present job. We asked them is earning recognition, advancement, challenge, cooperation, living area, and employment security. Respondent 1 choose earning only, and respondent 2 choose earning, recognition, challenge, and cooperation. So from the interview, we discovered that both personality and environment impact on the employee tendency to express idea or concern. Employee with high approach orientation who seek chance and take more chance spoke up with suggestion more frequently than those with low approach orientation. Employee who thought it was required of them to submit ideas spoke up more than those who did not believe is a part of their job. We also discover that strong environmental standards might outweigh the impact of personality on employee propensity to speak up at work. Even if someone had poor approach orientation, they spoke up at work when they believed it was firmly demanded of them. And if someone had strong approach orientation, they will be less inclined to raise concern if they believe it will be discouraged or penalized. Our finding support that the situational viewpoint more than the personality viewpoint. This research also find that if you want employee to speak up, the work environment and social norm of the team are important. Even those who are most motivated to provide thought and proposal may resist if they are afraid being dismissed or penalized. On the other hand, supporting and rewarding people for speaking up might be encourage more individuals to do so, even if their personality make them more vulnerable. We also discovered that the surrounding have impact on how employees spoke up. Employees express their view in two ways: by recognizing opportunity for improvement at work and by diagnosing possible hazard to the business and pointing out unwanted behavior that might compromise safety or operation. We also discovered that when workplace norms fostered the discovery of the possible hazard or problem, employees spoke out more about concerns like safety violation or violation of establishment work procedure. Employees were more likely to speak out with unique suggestions for revamping work procedure that support creativity on the shop floor when the such standard foster improvement and creativity. That's all from me. Next.
So I will proceed to the summary of research findings. Despite the fact that the firm had many formal mechanisms such as multicultural perspective and grievance procedure for encouraging people to speak up about serious problem, half of the employee respondent in recent culture surveys state that they did not feel safe to speak up or challenge traditional ways of doing things. They were most hesitant to discuss difficulties, but rather innovative suggestion for enhancing goods procedure and performance. While it is understandable why workers are hesitant to raise some concern, such as whistleblowing, we discovered that the underlying protective drive was so strong that it hindered communication that was obviously intended to benefit the firm. The perceived dangers of speaking out seem extremely personal and immediate to employees in our interviews, but the potential future benefit to the business from sharing their idea was unknown. As a result, individuals frequently place things safe by remaining silent. When in doubt, keep your lips shut. They seem to conclude frequently. Employees occasionally told us that they were afraid to speak out because management had been really hostile to previous recommendation, although this was uncommon. More often than not, they were timid by broad, often ambiguous conception of the work environment. A culture of communal myth proved terrifying. We report of people saying something in public then being suddenly gone from the organization, as one research and development director described it. So silence was caused by implicit, seemingly unproven assumption. Many participants reported withholding comment from someone further up in the organization hierarchy. So because they assume without evidence that superior felt ownership of the project, process, or issue at hand, and will detest comment that signal a need for change. Employees also felt, again without direct experience, that if positive proposal for change were made when more senior leader were present, their superior will feel deceived, or that their boss will be ashamed to be show up by subordinate in front of other subordinate. So employee engagement is not a simple trait, and it cannot be achieved with a staff survey, a process or procedure modification, a motivating training session, or an HR effort. To drive and sustain it, every leader in organization must give time and energy and patience. Only a shift in how an organization thinks, perform, and act will result in an engagement culture. To improve this situation, leaders must clearly encourage the suggestion of others. Executive must also aggressively question the myth and assumption that perpetuate silence. They may, for example, state publicly that contrary to popular opinion, proposals should not be made quietly in order to preserve the boss face. That idea are most useful when they are freely discussed and others may contribute their development. Employee may also contribute more if they could balance the unproven intangible expenses they have been bearing with incentive that extended beyond personal recognition for speaking up. That is to something tangible. Managers should adapt their compensation schemes so that the workers share more directly in cost saving or income stream that they help produce by giving idea. Company may change to stay ahead with employee expectation by providing training opportunities. The latest in technological breakthrough, management assistance, and open mind about what constitutes a great workplace environment. The important thing to remember is that this is a continual process. Engagement does not happen by itself. Organization must focus employee needs over time and leverage it to develop a great culture. So for the future accumulation, is there anyone want to present it? So I will pass
For
to
the
the Atoy.
for the lastly is about the feature recommendation. Feature recommendation is the study relating to the culture that have shaped pupils' conduct inside an organization as possible. Because the number of interview was restricted, owning the time and resource constraint. The question asking during the interview may not cover all aspects of the organization culture. As the result, future culture research may focus on defining all fates of corporate culture. Furthermore, future research should consider additional aspects such as personality and ethic culture. This, this paper is not be recovering all sector and employee age 4 and above. In future research, hopefully we can cover this topic around the more general audience such as all over Malaysia regardless of their age. Through the focus of the study was on the pupil conduct in the workplace, organization culture is not the only element that influence employee behavior, personality, ethnic heritage, and region, for example, might influence a personal conduct. To ensure all culture are nature and kindness, the organization could be mainly reflected in the motivation, promote individual learning, communication, enhance organization value, and group decision making and conflict solving. That's all from our group. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.